When growing up, I was separated from my family, so I didn't grow up with any of my siblings. That made me feel really lonely as a person, as well as that I used to get bullied when I was younger in primary school. So that made me have loads of complexes, made me have low self-esteem. I didn't believe that I could achieve anything in my life, meaning that I didn't have any goal, I didn't have any aim. I just developed a I don't care attitude. I didn't care about the grades I got, I didn't care about how I would speak to teachers, so much so that I got kicked out of lessons, nearly got kicked out of school, got put on reports. I didn't care anymore because of the bullying that I went through. And that really affected me to the point where I just didn't know what I wanted to do with my life anymore. I had no goal, no aim whatsoever. So during this time of aimlessness, one of my friends invited me to the church. And that was when I was literally at my lowest point, because looking back, I wasn't the person that I wanted to be. Deep down inside, I really wanted to achieve. I wanted to be successful. I just wasn't willing to do everything that it took to get there. So when I was invited to the church, I took part in the youth meetings regularly. I would come weekly and I would develop as a person. All my anger issues just went, and I started to develop as a young man. And even today, I performed in front of thousands of people. I speak to people regularly. I've even been selected as a student ambassador for my sixth form. So today I can honestly say that I'm completely different and I'm completely changed. So to all those that think that they can't overcome low self-esteem or can't overcome their bullying problems, I say to you that you can achieve what you want. You can be the person that you want to be. I say that because I have now become the person that I want to be, and I'm on the right track heading for success. And to all of you that think that you can, because I did.
Hello, a very good evening and welcome to Finding Answers. Now, I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but everyone in this earth has an expiry date. You know, when you buy a product and if you take it home, but the expiry date is gone, usually you don't eat it, it's gone, you have to throw it away. The same thing happens to us. At one point, all of us here on this earth, and this is whether you like to talk about this or not, we're gonna die, right? We have our expiry dates, and some earlier than others. We have a shelf life. And when your shelf life is up, when you die, the question is, how are you gonna be remembered? How are people gonna remember you? Are they gonna remember you as the person who worked 9 to 5 and did very little to impact other people's lives? I remember very recently, just last week, this great young man who, impacted people's lives in an amazing way. Unfortunately, he passed away. Not because of anything, like crime or anything, just unfortunately his health took a turn for the worse and unfortunately he passed away. But even after dead, many young men that he used to work with and try to help them to change their direction in life, just because of his example while he was alive, they have been turning their lives around. So look at that, someone who's not even alive anymore, but because of his example, people are, changing the course of their lives. Now, would you say that people would do the same about you? And this also shows you something, that if we have a shelf life here in this world, then whatever you need or you want to achieve, you have to achieve while you're here, right? Because after you die, you can't achieve anything anymore, right? People that are great and are remembered for conquering great things, they did so when they were alive. When you're dead, my dear friend, that's it. Your opportunity is gone. But perhaps you live a frustrated life because the opportunities you haven't bore fruit. Maybe you try to grab these opportunities. You try to do whatever you can to make your life progress, to make people look at you and feel that they want to follow in your example because you are successful. But maybe all the times you have tried to be successful, things haven't worked. Perhaps you live a frustrated life because of this. And whatever we have to achieve now, today. James, but I'm going to do it next week. How do you know next week you're going to be alive? The chance is now. Michael, good evening.
Good evening.
If we have a chance to achieve something, to do something great with our lives, the chance is now. Unfortunately, many people feel like no matter how hard they try, they always fall short.
Yeah. We had a program, I think it was last week, when you mentioned the bucket list.
Yes, yes.
Right? It's only when tragedy strikes that someone will start to do those things on that bucket list. But why wait until bad news happens?
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you want to achieve something, then, as you said, why not fulfill what you want to do now? Don't wait for something bad to happen.
But you know, there are people who try, Michael. Mm-hmm. There are people who try. They try to do something, they try to achieve a landmark in their lives. But no matter how much they try, they always fall short. That's why they live frustrated lives. They're frustrated because they always fail.
Yeah. Even if you do fail, no matter what you try, whether it's a relationship, you're trying to start a business, you want to succeed in life, there is always an opportunity. You just have to find the right one, but keep on persevering. And that's what we teach people here. No matter how hard life is, you can find your answer. The program is called Finding Answers. So there is an answer to that problem.
So this program today goes out to all those who say, you know, James, it's not that I don't try to achieve things. It's not that I don't understand that I have an expiry date, a shelf life here in this world. I know that my time is now. But it's just that every time I try, I fail. And it gets to a point where I'm tired. I don't want to try anymore. I don't want to try because I have tried. I have rolled up my sleeves and tried to work hard, but I always come short. And I need help. I need to see if I'm doing something wrong, if perhaps I need something different. You know, just before we go to the break, sometimes you may be doing everything right, but sometimes you lack one thing. You lack God's favor. This is very important, you know. Doing something with God's favor makes all the difference. You can do all the preparation you want, you can do everything that you can, but sometimes don't you feel like it's like the odds were stacked up against you from the beginning, right? Have you felt like this? Like you prepared and you did everything you could do, but still things went wrong. Do you know why? Because perhaps there's this little extra push that you need, and that extra push is God's favor. If you want help for you to stop living a frustrated life and receiving a prayer for you to find God's favor and finally being able to achieve things while you're here, then the number to call is 020-7686-6300. If you are a person that you're watching me now and you feel frustrated, you feel tired, because whatever you've tried, you've always failed, then get in contact with us. We'll be praying for you. If you want to send us an email, the email address is help@findinganswers.tv. We're going to go into a short break. When we come back, we'll be speaking to George, who's in the studio with us, and he's managed to overcome the adversities in his life. We'll be right back.
This is your UCKG timetable. We are open 7 days a week, helping you to make a new beginning. Mondays, a meeting focused on achieving more in your financial life. Tuesdays, prayers for healing. Wednesdays, a meeting teaching you to develop in your spiritual life. Thursdays, a special prayer for the family. Friday, a service for your spiritual deliverance. Saturdays, Find the One, a service specifically tailored for your love life. Sundays, Reconnect with God, the main meeting for your spiritual strength.
more people coming, and we have what? Maybe 2,000 to 3,000 people already, more than that. And we're going to have to start very soon because otherwise the queue is going to be too long, but we're pretty happy.
I've read the first book, and I found it really, really inspiring because Adim Macedo, he's been through so many problems. No one believed in him, and there's a lot of people going through that actually. That people, they have a dream, but there's people that always try to put them down and tell them they're not good enough. And he just broke through all of that, and he just went for his dreams, and he's just conquered so much today. It's amazing. He's so inspirational.
I'm really excited. I'm just excited about the book launch, and I can't wait to read the book.
As the book says, nothing to lose and there is nothing to hide. Everybody needs to know. And I think this is the right time that people should know the truth about this great man of God, Bishop Macedo, his background, where he's coming from, and what is UCKG Help Center all about.
I expect it to be just as good as the first book, because the first book was really, really good. And from it, I learned a lot about Bishop Macedo. Like, you go to the church and stuff, but you don't really understand the struggles that he went through. From reading the book, you understand it more, and you understand deeper where the UCKG came from.
It is the book of Acts, which means the story of someone who, through faith, managed to not only turn his life around, but the life of many, many other people around.
Welcome back. Before we speak to George, who's in the studio with me, here's a video that shows about grabbing the opportunities that you have and making the most of them so that you can build a life that will make you be remembered even after you're not here. Have a look.
Giờ thăm gì nè?
Muối, cao lẩu.
So that's a great example of how you can grab the opportunities that are given to you, right? But also you can grab opportunities in a bad way, because sometimes bad opportunities are presented to you and you should just let them slide. But there are people who grab them. And the person who's here with me today, George, he was an expert at grabbing bad opportunities, right, George?
Yes.
How are you?
I'm very well.
You okay? Today you changed your life, right?
Yes.
But how were you before? Why did you feel the need to grab all those bad opportunities?
At that time, it was just the opportunity there for me. Growing up, seeing this sort of life, I was introduced into those wrong lifestyles. So I feel the need that was the only way out for me to fulfill my negative desires, for me to be happy and actually feel the void inside.
Okay.
So that was the reason why I grabbed those bad opportunities.
So first of all, let's talk about the activities, criminal activities that you started to get involved with. How old were you when you started getting involved in criminal activity?
I was 15.
15.
Yeah.
What did you start doing at 15?
At 15, I got introduced into internet scam. So it was a group of guys, older guys. I was the youngest at that time.
Internet scam.
Yeah.
Where were you at that time?
I was in Nigeria at that time.
In Nigeria.
Yeah.
Okay. Talk to me about how would you write the email? What would you write?
It's different budget, at different times. One of the one I started with was lottery scams. So we write emails saying you've won certain amount of money. For you to claim this money, you have to follow up this and that. So we give that format, and we definitely get a reply back by using software as well.
Is that called 419?
You can say that.
Similar to 419?
Yes, similar to that.
Okay, I get these emails. Everybody gets these kind of emails. Yeah. Everyone that I know gets these emails once in a while. Now, as soon as I see that email, I delete it. But are there people that reply to those emails?
So many people, because we used to buy softwares from Asia, America, and what we do is we send over 1 million to 1 trillion emails. So you definitely get people who respond to it, people who tend to be anxious, and all you need is just 1 or 2 people, because they actually believe it. With the document we've got different signatures of banks, and then that's where we start from.
Okay, and so at 15 you started doing that. Were you making money out of that?
So much money. I was fairly independent at 15. I moved out of my parents' house, started acquiring landed properties, started buying lands at that time. Had shares with a meat industry, a very well-known meat industry in Nigeria at that time.
Did your parents know what you were doing?
Yeah, my mom, I told my mom at first, but later on my dad found out because of my luxury lifestyle I was living at that time. And then, my mom was aware of it.
What was their reaction?
She was all right, because honestly she was, because I was actually providing for the family, because my dad had so many affairs, and he had 2 wives, so he couldn't really provide for my mom. So I always want my mom to wear the best stuff. I always want her to be all right, to be happy, just to put that smile on her face. So she was comfortable with that.
Did you ever think at any point, I could be destroying people's lives here, I could be hurting people with what I'm doing? Did that ever cross your mind, or at that time you didn't think of that?
At that time I didn't, honestly, because at that time I just think that was the way forward, because in my constituency where I grew up, we had like a club, it's like a Rotary club, whereby we meet with the guys, so everyone talk about how much you made this week, so it's like we were bragging about it. We were fairly proud about it at that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we have a face behind those emails, right? You were one of the faces. Although today you're different, but usually we get those emails and we think, where does this come from? But there's a science behind it. You guys worked hard at making that work. So you built this lifestyle. You had this wrong opportunity to make money and you took it. Did that come with dangers, or you were fairly safe until that point?
I wasn't safe at all, because I had I was a part of a mafia clique at that time. What we do is actually running some political system. So we get like the members in the government. They pay some money to some group of guys, and then we run like elections. Like we try to do negative stuff like stealing ballot boxes, and So you
even rigged elections?
Yeah, we did that. Yeah, we did that.
Okay, that's I don't know what to say. I never met someone who did that, but that's high-end stuff, right?
Yeah.
So you were really doing a lot of stuff. Now, did that become dangerous for you at one point?
It was very dangerous. I had a bounty on my head because there were certain guys in the area thinking, you know, who's this guy? We need to stop him. So I went through a lot of insecurities. When I'm walking, always looking at my shoulders. They're really looking for me. So I decided
Who had this bounty on your head?
rival gangs. There's so many gangs at that time, so they really want to kill me. So that's the reason why I flew to this country at that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, at that time, if you had a lot of money, I imagine, did you get attention from women easily because of the money you had?
Yeah, so many, because of the lifestyle I lived. I just tend to brand women as cheap commodities because they just fall into my laps. You know, the women in the world, they want your money. So it was easy.
Not all women.
The women in the world,
But not all of them,
no,
right?
not
We're
all
not
of
saying
them.
that all women want men's money,
Yeah,
but
no,
they, certainly there are women that see that as a way out.
Yeah.
And there are men who see women with money also as a way out.
It's true.
So for you, is it fair to say that you became a womanizer?
Yeah, absolutely, big time. I was actually addicted to it. There'd be nights whereby I couldn't sleep alone because, you know, I wanted to substitute the void inside with sleeping around with women just to be happy.
So you had all that money, you had all those women. Weren't you happy?
I wouldn't say I was super happy. I was happy at that time because, you know, that's what I think was right. But, you know, as I grew older, you know, I tend to look back and, you know, that wasn't the right life for myself.
Right. Yeah. So how did you end up here in the UK?
Yeah, after having those trauma with the guys trying to take my life, I had to flee to this country to study at that time in University of Greenwich. But it didn't go too far. I dropped out because, honestly, I just decided to come to this country to seek a hiding place, not to actually study. And then I started meeting up with my friends. I have over about 500 friends in different countries. I've got contacts. So I started speaking to friends here. They linked me to some guys, and then I started doing fraud again. And
so you came here to run away from the danger that came with the life of fraud. But when you got here, you started doing fraud again.
Yeah.
Same thing, sending out emails and stuff like that?
Different stuff.
Different stuff.
Yeah, different stuff.
Was it as successful as it was there in Nigeria?
Yeah, just about.
Okay. Yeah. And still, you still could not find that. Were you still more or less happy, or did things start to lose their shine for you?
I had a big problem with friends, right? What happened? Apparently, we had some issue whereby we made some money, but there was a lot of problem like with the sharing, and then everyone decided to go different ways. And myself, I started working for myself. And then after a very long time, you know, things started to shrink because I couldn't work on my own, the same as them. We came back together, started working again, but it didn't go too far. And then my life changed when I met my wife now. So we started dating, and well, she knew I was doing fraud, but she didn't like it. Like every other woman I met, they just want the money, but she wasn't like that. She wasn't after my money. She just wanted to
So this was the one woman who was not after your money.
Yeah.
She would prefer if you had no money but stop doing fraud.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. After the break, you're going to tell us how that relationship evolved and how you changed your life. Okay, George? Because today we are safe, close to you, right?
Yes.
No chance of you sending me an email about a lottery that I won, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to go into a break. When we come back, we're going to see what the people in London have to say about how you want to be remembered after you died. And actually, George, had you died at that time, probably the only few people that would cry would be your parents.
True.
Because, you know, most people who had been on the receiving end of the scams that you used to do, they would be very happy because it would be one less person that would scam others out of their hard-earned cash,
True.
right? So if you had died at that point, you wouldn't be remembered as a good man.
It's true.
Few people would mourn over your death. Today is different because today your life is different. So after the break, we'll hear how he changed his life around.
In life, there are problems that just hit you with a blow. Everything crumbles away, and the heartache never seems to disappear. Everything keeps going wrong. You are in despair. What do you do when your hope isn't enough? When your single prayer seems to return unanswered, and the persistent problem is still there? Partner with God and make a chain of prayer. A Chain of Prayer is a weekly series of uninterrupted prayer and action to tackle the most stubborn of problems. Make the chain of prayer and turn things around once and for all. Don't give up. Make a chain of prayer. It works.
So, maybe you're thinking about making some big changes or setting some ambitious goals for yourself. Maybe you want to lose 20 pounds or read through the Bible. Maybe you want to run a marathon or repair a broken relationship. Whatever your big goal is, the temptation is to expect to go straight from here to here, or from here to here. The reality is, there are a lot of small steps between big decisions and big results. Challenges and obstacles await. At some point, you might even want to quit. But stand firm. Don't be disappointed with slow progress. Don't be overwhelmed by the destination. Rather, focus on what you can do today. Skip dessert. Read a chapter. Go for a run. Make a phone call. The more difficult the journey, the more rewarding the destination. And it can all start today with just one small step.
Welcome back. We've been hearing the amazing story of George, who's here with us. But before we went to the streets of London, and actually I should say we went to the parks of London, because usually our production always records this in parks. But we went to London, to the streets of London, to ask people how they would like to be remembered after they died. Here's what they had to say.
Well, this is a very tricky one, because
do you think it's important or necessary to leave behind a legacy?
Definitely, so people can learn from it and to carry it on as well, in remembrance of you. Yeah, I think it's really important.
I think it would be a good thing to leave something behind, because then, you know, people could like look at it and be like, oh, I know that person did something good, and, you know, good for the society. And yeah,
definitely have to live your life in a good way, so people will learn from it if it's good.
I suppose in life you would want to be remembered in some sort, form, shape, or, you know, really. So yeah.
How would you like to be remembered?
Well, like in a good way. So do something that's like inspiring and like good, so people could, like, I don't know, be inspired by it.
Everything that I've done, especially to make my family proud of me, and My friends proud of me.
A good father to all my children. Good father to all my children. It's you know, it's good being a father. You know, looking after all these kids. They're all right. They're good. They're happy. Making sure that they're happy and have a good life, stability. You know.
My name's Richie.
That's Richie.
My name's Crystal. My name's
Emilio.
My name's Zakayla.
So when he said all these kids, he really meant all these kids. There were about 4 there. I don't know if there were some other kids somewhere else. But you see that it's important. People think it's important to leave behind a legacy. And when we say legacy, it's not an inheritance, money that people can dip into. Because actually, when people with money die, it's only a matter of hours, if that much, until family members start fighting to see who's going to get the most. And I've seen that. It's very sad, and I've seen this, and I think that's not the legacy you want to leave. The legacy you should leave, it's you being someone that was a role model, an example to be followed. And we were speaking to George, who, like we said, had you died at that point where you were doing all those wrong things, you would be an example not to be followed, right?
Absolutely.
So you came to the UK because you feared for your life.
Yes.
But here you continued doing fraud. Then you met your wife, who is now your wife, and this was the first person who didn't care about the money and didn't want you to be in that lifestyle.
True.
So was she someone who inspired you to change, or for a while you still continued in that same life?
For a while, but she never gave up on me.
Mm-hmm.
She was always, at that time she was in the church, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
but she was different.
Mm-hmm.
I never come across anyone like that. So I believe she had a good intention.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started listening to what she said. And, you know, with the time, as time goes by, I found out that, you know, what she's saying was absolutely true.
Mm-hmm.
And then for a year, she tried to invite me to come to the church. I didn't want to come.
So
for some
you
reason.
resisted?
Yeah.
Tell me something, during that time, George, did you want to change? When you were in crime and so on, did you want to change?
When I met her, I wanted to change, yeah.
When you met her, but before, not really?
Not really, because I was just living life without no aim. The aim was just to make money, go club, blow the money, and just relax. That's it, really.
You would make, tell me something, what's the most money you've ever made in one time?
One time, about 350 grand.
350,000 pounds?
Yeah.
For yourself, or to be shared among the people who were there with you?
I've got like 60% of the money.
60%?
Yeah.
And how long did that money last you for?
Not very long, to be honest, because like I said, we used to go out, party in the night, spend like 5,000 pounds on champagne. It's just that lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. So that lifestyle made you not want to quit what you were doing.
Yeah.
So then you met your wife, this person who was inspiring you, who was showing you that there's a different way, trying to bring you to God. What made you decide to come to church and to accept her invitation?
Absolutely, I lost everything I had, because life was very hard for me. Because, like I said, when I stopped, hanging out with my friends, and there was lack of ideas on how to make money myself. So, I lost everything. When I mean everything, from having so much to having zero money in my account. But she was still there for me, fighting and telling me, there's a way out, come to church. But I didn't want her to come. I always used to tell her, church is for poor people. I ain't coming.
Church is for poor people, but at that point you were poor.
Yeah.
Then you had nothing, right?
Yeah. So I decided to take a chance, and I came, and I stopped coming. I came another time again. Then she said, keep coming, and I started coming, and gradually I started to see change in my life. The way I started to think and believing in myself.
Why did you decide to change? Why did you say, enough of this, I don't want to do this anymore?
One of the things is actually for my marriage as well, because I found someone good and I had to value it. At the same time, I wanted to set a pace and example for my little girl, and I wanted her to see me as a role model, an example to follow as well. So when this penny dropped, I decided to start taking things seriously. Because when I started coming to church, I didn't really I wasn't really giving 100%. But I wanted to change, but it was hard. So it was part of me was staying in the world, because I didn't cut out one of my friends. Still have friends like in Indonesia, some other countries who sometimes drop me email, I've got this for you, can you do this paperwork for me? You're gonna get this percent and that. So I didn't really cut out everything. But when I decided to go all in and, you know,
quit completely.
Exactly. That was when I started having peace inside, and things started to change the way I think. I became more organized. And
I was just thinking, you were saying that the most money you've made was 350,000.
At one go.
At one go.
Yeah.
And you quit all that because, of course, because of God, but also because of your wife.
Yes.
Because she brought you to God. So your wife must be worth a lot to you.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because 350,000 pounds is a lot of money to quit for one person.
Yeah.
So she is really important. She was the one who brought you to God, who led you to change. And how are you today, George? Who are you today?
Today, I'm absolutely a changed person. I'm actually imparting life as well. I'm currently working on a research, on IT research. So I'm studying hard, you know, closing contracts. Things are going well for me. And also...
honest contracts.
Yeah, honest contract.
You're studying hard, you're closing in other words, you're trying to build now an honest life.
Yeah. Qualified IT specialist, qualified IT certified professional as well. And yeah, things are going right for me. I'm into a few networks whereby I hold conference with people who do IT as well in other countries, and I'm very, very happy at this present time.
And all this above board.
Well,
I mean, all these networks that you have now are good networks.
Yeah, good networks.
We have to say that because some people at home may say maybe he has a new network and we have to be worried.
No,
you've left all that behind.
Absolutely, because I've found that peace I never had, and you know, life is good for me. Not just because of the material stuff, but because of the free air. And when I wake up in the morning, I don't need to worry about anything. I don't need to worry about, you know, me getting caught doing crime. I don't do crime no more. I don't depend on that no more. So I have full control of myself.
How does it feel to have a clear conscience?
I think it's the best thing in the world. No matter how rich you could be, it doesn't compensate that. Because when you get that peace, that actual peace inside, sincerely, there's nothing to be compared to that. Honestly.
That's great. Yeah. So George, today you are an honest man, and you know, if you continue in this path, you will be remembered as someone who is an example to others. Perhaps to those over 500 people that you used to have in your wrong network before, they will look at you as an example. So today, you are a good example, not a bad one.
Absolutely. Because like I said, I'm imparting lives, and I know how much I'm working hard to make people change, and I'm doing that, you know, every day, just because I know it's good, it's worth it. When you have these, you know, this joy, this warm peace, you guaranteed a success in different ramifications, because God is going to open more ways for you. So that's the reason why, you know, I keep imparting lives as well.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right, George, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, and keep in the right track.
Amen.
God has great things for you, okay?
Thank you.
Now, we're going to speak to Carla, who's here with me, and she has, I don't know if it's a comment, if it's an email. How are you, Carla?
It's an email. Good evening.
You okay? You have an email there?
Yes, I have here an email. Someone I knew passed away suddenly at the age of 41. She was healthy and never expected to be killed in a car accident. Some friends spoke about her and her life. What made an impact on me while I listened was how many first thoughts was when I passed away. I didn't want people to remember me the way they remembered her. They didn't say anything bad. She was a nice person, but the words about her were more polite, honored, and nice person who had died rather than her accomplishments. What she changed. I was curious and asked her about her dreams she had. She made real. I heard about the book she planned to write on the day and the charity she was trying to make to help. But she postponed it and for the future, which now was over. Please make a prayer for her to rest in peace, and myself included, that I may achieve all I had set out to do on the earth before I leave. Thank you, Charlie.
Okay, Charlie, well, I have to say, we're not going to pray for her to rest in peace. I'm sorry, because the thing is, when someone dies, right, you can't do anything anymore. no matter what people say. I know there are people who light a candle for someone who's died. Thing is, I'm sorry for being so straight to the point. When you die, you die. My dad died when I was 15, right? And whatever choices he had to make that would impact his afterlife, he made while he was alive. You can't do anything anymore after the person passes away. But I will pray, Charlie, for you to be strong and to have peace. And what you said about this person who passed away brings me to the point I was saying earlier, that whatever chance, whatever time you have of causing an impact in other people's lives and doing something great is now, while you're alive. And maybe you say, well, James, but the thing is, I'll be alive tomorrow and I'll try tomorrow. But you don't know if you'll be alive tomorrow, right? Nobody knows. I mean, ideally, you would like to be. I was watching this video just yesterday, a video that had, I think, like 2 million views on YouTube. And the guy who was speaking was saying that something like 300 people or 350 people out of those over 2 million wouldn't be alive to watch that video next year. Now that puts things into perspective. If you want to do something significant with your life, it has to be now. You know, if you start right now and you have plenty of time, that's great. But if you wait around and you don't have that much time, the thing is we never know how much time we have, then you just wasted the whole of your life. So whatever you're trying to do, try to do now, okay? I want to make a prayer now after the break for you that you have tried to do many things and perhaps you failed and you're frustrated with your life. I believe that with God's favor, things can change. Our prayer tonight will be for God to favor the decisions that you are making. We'll be right back. If God can hold all the waters of the ocean in the palm of His hands, imagine the problem of the person.
You can't say that your problem is bigger than these waters, than the ocean.
No matter how big a building is, a monument is, from where we're standing, it looks tiny.
What God wants to do is to raise you up. As you can see, the sun is setting behind us. And maybe in the same way, your life is going down. Maybe in the same way, happiness is going down.
Even if the sun goes down now, tomorrow, it's guaranteed that whether you see the clouds or something's blocking the sun, but the sun will be there.
I am a much happier person than I was before. I enjoy going home. I enjoy going home to see my family. My mother and I, we now have a relationship between each other, which it wasn't like that before. There used to be times where my mum and I used to have physical fights. When I mean physical fights, I mean we used to punch each other, and my grandma used to try and stop us. I used to run away from home, have arguments with her, and I just hated her. I think I hated her because she wasn't there for me. I thought she wasn't there for me. I thought she didn't love me as much as I wanted to be loved. So I used to use things to get that attention. I used to use boys. I used to do many things. Now, things has changed. We don't fight anymore. We actually communicate, we speak, we sit down. Things have really changed inside of my house, and that was one of my biggest problems. I noticed that the reason why I didn't like being around her is because I thought that she wasn't there for me as much as I wanted her to be. But to be honest, she couldn't be because she was a young mum. She didn't know much. And later on, I started to understand that. Now, there's peace in my home.
Welcome back. Before the prayer, I don't know if you've seen those, how do you call them, Michael? Is it the sand clock, the thing where you turn and the sand timer, right? Yeah. Everyone has a sand timer. Your life has a sand timer. Sometimes you have more time than others, sometimes you have less. The thing is, with whatever time you have, you need to make the most of it. Time is the most precious thing that exists in this world. Everyone would like to buy more time. You probably reach the end of your day sometimes and you felt you didn't have enough time to do something. The main reason why people don't exercise, guess what it is? No time, because of work. So the thing is, start to cut off from your life things that may not be that important, so you can invest that time with things that will change your life, that will help you to be remembered as someone who achieved something great. And if you were able to do something different because of some extra time that you would have, what would you do? So why don't you start doing that right now? And our prayer is going to be for you right now who feel frustrated, because Michael, it must be very frustrating to try hard, because we're saying here some people have time and then they waste their time, but there are those who try really hard, who make the most of the time they have, but they keep failing, and that gets to a point where you sort of lose heart and keep trying again.
And if you are in this situation now where you are losing hope, then we have the prayer for you, right? And no matter what you've tried physically to get things done in life, but you have failed, then why not join us for the prayer now? Because if you haven't tried prayer before, I can tell you, and James can tell you as well, that the hundreds of people who've been on this program, they tried prayer and it worked. What they lost in time and opportunities, they gained through prayer.
Yeah. And prayer doesn't solve everything, right?
Yeah.
But it helps with many things. So we are going to prepare ourselves for the prayer. Prepare your glass with water if you have an opportunity to get one now. We're going to ask God to touch your life and to give you the favor you need to be successful in what you do, perhaps in looking after your family. Like that man said on the street questions. He said, I just want to be a good father to my kids. Perhaps that's all you want. You want to leave a good legacy of a good character, a good dad, good mom to your family. So we are going to pray on your behalf. Prepare your glass with water. Let's talk to God.
Prepare now for the moment of prayer. If you would like us to make a prayer and include you in the Finding Answers prayer book, send your name and prayer request to prayer@findinganswers.tv.
My Lord and my Father, in the name of the Lord Jesus, this name that can change everything, this name that opens doors, that brings new opportunities, new life, that brings peace, that opens up new horizons. My Lord, in the name of the Lord Jesus, I present to you right now those who perhaps are frustrated with their lives, frustrated because it's not for the lack of trying that they have failed. Perhaps they have tried to do everything they can to be remembered when they go from this earth in a positive light, and yet they have failed again and again. So I ask you, my Lord, stretch out your mighty hands to this person to remove whatever blockage, whatever impediment, my God, this person has in front of them that holds them back from being successful. I pray for this mother who struggles to put food on the table for her kids. I pray, my Lord, for this young man, this young woman who perhaps just finished university and can't get a job and feels just like giving up. And maybe there are people now who are thinking, what kind of pastor, what kind of church is this that prays for certain materialistic things? But my Lord, these are the real life issues that people struggle with. And so I believe that you care. I believe you care about this life. I believe you care about the troubles this person fights against. I believe you as a father are concerned with the success of your children. And so, my Lord, if this person had lost the motivation, the strength to fight, bring it back. Bring it back and let this person be able to find success, victory. In the name of the Father, the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. I consecrate this water that when this person drinks of it, they will receive the strength they never had before. You may now drink of this water in Jesus' name. Amen. You know, in life we have adversities. You can plan things down to a last T, and you'll always be thrown these things you weren't expecting. And life is about how you deal with those things. Life is not about action only. It's a lot about reaction. So if you have tried and failed, react to that. Do something different, knowing that God is with you, and you will see how things can be different. Okay? Until next time, have a wonderful day, a wonderful night rather. May God bless you.